Will Grier, West Virginia position, QB height, 6 feet 2 inches. Weight, 217 pounds. Year, RS senior hometown, Davidson. NC experience, 2 years. Starter measurables, 40 yards, 4.84 s. Broad jump, 112 in. Vertical, 34 in. 3 cone, 7.09 s. 20 yards. Shuttle, 4.28 s. Bench press. DNP Career Notes, Grier's career started at Florida in 2015 after redshirting his first year on campus. He saw action in 6 games, starting 5 of those. The redshirt freshman Grier lost the starting job to sophomore Treon Harris halfway through the season. After seeing he wasn't in Florida's future plans, he transferred to West Virginia, sitting out a year before returning to the field in 2017 as a redshirt junior. Dana Holgerson's punishing run-first offense was a strong fit for the mobile Grier in 2017. Though his best work was done in the pocket, his ability to roll out and hit receivers on the run opened up the Mountaineers' offense. He found favorite targets in David Silsby and Gary Jennings Jr. There were hiccups, however, like dropping their season opener to Tremaine Edmonds' Virginia Tech Hokies, throwing 4 picks against Oklahoma State in a late October home game, and getting hurt early in the last game of the season against Big 12 rival, Texas. In spite of the trials and learning a new offense, he ended the season with nearly a 3-2-1 touchdown-to-interception ratio and helped West Virginia to a 7-4 record. Returning for his final year in 2018, Grier came out of the gates firing, walloping Tennessee in the season opener, throwing 5 touchdowns for 429 yards with no interceptions. This was just one of 6 games in which Grier wouldn't throw a pick, and one of 5 games in which he threw 4 or more touchdowns. The Mountaineers still had their struggles, and finished 8-3 in the regular season, losing their final 2 games of the season against Oklahoma State and Oklahoma. There is plenty of blame to go around for a disappointing 2-game stretch at the end of a hard-fought season, but it's hard to place all that blame on Grier, who threw for a combined 6 touchdowns and no interceptions in those games. Injury report: Grier's only injury was to his throwing hand against Texas in the final regular season game of 2017. He missed the rest of that game and the Mountaineers' bowl game against Utah. Career stats: 65.7% completion, 8,556 yards, 81 touchdowns, 23 interceptions. Analysis: arm strength 3.0, 5.0. Grier's arm strength was mostly on display, zipping short and mid-level throws to the sidelines. Underthrown passes were few and far between. The bulk of his passes came inside of 10 yards, but he showed a proficiency at placing the ball 15 yards and deeper when he had the chance. The limits of his velocity showed up on plays where he had to drop it in over a receiver's shoulder down the field. In these instances, he seemed to favor bullet passes rather than lofted timing passes. He did nail a few passes with some mark on them down the field, which is encouraging from a development standpoint. He looked to have an arm that can make any pass. The trick appeared to be improving consistency on various types of throws. Accuracy 4.0, 5.0, throws inside of 20 yards were all but guaranteed to be on target. He hit sideline comebacks just as well as he hit backside digs coming across the middle of the field. Grier showed the kind of accuracy that matched the swagger with which he played quarterback. He appeared to know exactly which spots he could hit and trusted his wide receivers to snag contested catches in tight windows. He threw on-target passes far more than his completion percentage showed. What can't be quantified as easily as on-target passes is the anticipation with which he threw. At least a couple times per game, he helped create first downs against tight coverage by placing the ball where his receivers could accelerate through the catch. He showed an ability to hit guys on target down the field, but it was not as consistent as his work inside of 20 yards where he was dependable. Athleticism 3.25, 5.0. Grier's agility and speed made him a viable threat at the mesh point, which reading defensive ends had to honor on option plays. His speed had apparent limits which were easy to see at times when he tried to run away from pass rushers. His advantageous core strength and flexibility were most apparent on throws off his back foot where an uneven throwing platform delivered accurate passes. He leveraged his athletic gifts between his tackles to step up and shift the pocket against pressure off the edge. Leadership 4.5, 5.0, on the field, Grier was a confident guy. His opponents might say arrogant, as they were on the business end of this confidence. He trusted his arm and his receivers no matter the coverage. The one time he faltered and looked uncomfortable was against Iowa State in 2018, when the Cyclones brought creative pressure a few times per drive and took big risks that paid off in stunting the Mountaineers' offense. Even then, Grier didn't shy away from hurling passes with defenders moments away from putting a helmet in his chest. He read plays before the snap and often made decisions that made it clear he understood defenses. Sometimes he tried to create opportunities where there were none by throwing to perfectly covered receivers and running away from pressure rather than throwing the ball away, resulting in interceptable passes and strip sack fumbles. At his best, he is gutsy and confident. At worst, he has short-term memory for mistakes and follows up turnovers with conservative but not vanilla decision-making. Summary: Grier flourished in an offense which sorely missed him against Syracuse in West Virginia's bowl game. His specific brand of tight window accuracy and mobility helped max out an offense that can falsely appear to be an offense that just any quarterback can run. Grier was the straw that stirred the drink in Morgantown. His ability to throw just about anywhere on the field opened up the run game for an offense that averaged 4.59 yards per carry in 2018. Their bowl game saw a notable drop in production with only 4.1 yards per carry. The passing game was even more limited, racking up its second lowest total for a passing game this season. Grier proved to be a pocket passer who took advantage of soft zone defenses with mid-level throws. When facing man coverage, he could fit the ball into tight windows or leak out and steal yards that weren't there. As stated, he opened up the Mountaineers' offense, but the offense also did him quite a few favors as well. He was good within the framework of the offensive scheme. When plays completely broke down, however, he struggled. He needed to get the ball out of his hands far more than he did. He had a tendency to put his offensive line in precarious positions by rolling out when pressure was nowhere to be found. When pressure came, his ability to react was hit or miss. In a 3-point loss to Oklahoma, he gave up 2 strip sack fumbles, both of which were returned for touchdowns. Grier looked to try to make plays early and often, which sometimes resulted in incredible passes, and sometimes resulted in tough turnovers. Overall grade 3.69, 5.0 if drafted by the Packers. Because of his age, Grier will be 24 on draft day, and Rodgers' contract, which goes through 2022, this would be a head-scratcher of a pick, undoubtedly, if he were taken in the 2nd or 3rd round. Depending on where the scouting rumor mill takes his draft stock following GM meetings, he may fall a bit in the draft. If he's around in the 4th, he'd be a valuable pickup to compete against the 23-year-old Deshaun Kaiser for a backup spot. The high end of his velocity and accuracy are rare enough that he's an option to tap later in the draft. Grier would likely signal a shift in the offensive scheme away from creating one-on-one matchups and letting the quarterback determine the best matchup towards an aggressive run-first defense which uses the threat of the pass to open up the field. Grier would bring an interesting read option threat alongside Jamal Williams and/or Aaron Jones. But that's looking way down the road. Though unlikely to don the green and gold, he would be an asset if other areas of concern like safety, receiver, and pass rusher are shored up first. Video.